live.
All right, and we are live. Welcome everybody to Hump Day Hangouts episode 261. I was just live in our Facebook group, if you didn't catch that. So we're starting our 5th year, and I keep doing this. I need to just do 5. I can count to 5. There we go. So starting off with episode 261 as we roll towards 2020. This is really cool. If you missed out last week, that's fine. Just keep doing what you need to do. Show up here every week, ask us questions, and we will keep answering or at least pointing you in the right direction. So first off, I want to say if you're new to this, that's awesome. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for watching. You can come here every single week. Come to semanticmastery.com/HD questions. The URL stays the same, and we update everything so that you can just come back here. You can ask your questions, and even if you're not able to make it live, although we highly encourage that so we can get clarification or do a better job of answering your questions. We understand that some people have time conflicts or whatnot. You can always check out the replays on YouTube, ask your question ahead of time, and then check that out by subscribing on our YouTube channel. So before we get too far into it, let's go around and say hello. Looks like we got everybody here. I'm going to mix it up and start down at the bottom. So Hernan, how's it going, man?
Good, man. I was having some issues joining Zoom, so that's why I jump in like a minute late, but I'm happy to be here. Super happy to be here, so as usual.
Cool. Marco, how about yourself?
I'm good, man. BERT's keeping me busy.
BERT or birds?
BERT.
BERT.
BERT. BERT. So yeah, but it's fun.
Good deal. Well, Chris, how about you, man?
Doing excellent here today.
Gotcha. Where in the world are you? Are you back home in Austria?
Yeah, and it's snowing, and I can't wait, man. I'm super excited. Like, finally, it's getting cold here. Unlike everybody else who always likes the heat and stuff, I really enjoy it when there's cold air. Helps to think clear and stuff, so that's perfect.
Outstanding. Looking forward to a little bit of that when I go traveling, because otherwise it's going to be like 65 or 70 for the next 4 months. So anyways, Bradley, how about you, man? How you doing?
Good. Excited to be here. Got a lot going on. I know you're going to talk about some of it, but just as a kind of an update, we've got a local Kingpin update webinar coming up for anybody that's in that, where I'm just going to kind of have a webinar and talk about some of the updates in the Google Ads platform, using it for lead generation, and also answer questions for anybody that's a member of that program. That's coming up on November 18th, I believe, Monday, November 18th at 3 p.m. Eastern. So you should be getting a notification about that if you're a member of local Kingpin. And also, I know the other one that we're going to talk about is there's a Facebook post in the free group that has where I'm going to be doing some training about YouTube and display network ads. So Google ads, but how to do it specifically for branding, for lead generation, as well as driving traffic, targeted, relevant traffic into your SEO assets, right? Your entity assets that you build. If you've been building entity assets the way that we've been talking about, it's just a great way to fire it up and get that activity and relevancy from a trusted and authoritative source. Right. And so it kind of tickles all three of the activity, relevance, trust, and authority signals that we've been talking about now for years, for specifically Marco. So I'm going to be doing some training on that, and we're doing kind of a pre-launch thing on that for people that want to come watch the training or go through the training as I record it live. It'll be 2 different sessions. And that'll be for a discount. About 1/3 of the cost is once it's been recorded, we're going to package it up, put it into a membership site, split up all the videos and all that kind of stuff, and it'll be roughly a $300 course. So if you haven't already seen that post in the free group, go take a look at it. If you're interested in that training, I would highly suggest that you get in on the pre-recording, the pre-sale, and pick it up that way. Otherwise, you'll have to wait till it gets packaged up pretty and has a nice sales page and all that stuff, and it'll be $300. But I've been just crushing it with Google Ads for the specific reasons I mentioned over the last few months, actually. And I think it's something that everybody should be using in their business for their own business, as well as something that they can add to their services for clients. So I want to go over that very specifically with you guys. And Adam, I didn't mean to steal your thunder, but I just figured I'd chat about it while I had the floor.
No, that's good. I mean, you're the one that's going to be doing the training, and hopefully my screen's actually sharing. This is the post you guys want to get to. Go to the group. I put the link in, but if you're not joining live, you can go into that.
Who is that sexy person that posted it there?
Yeah, look at who is that? I don't, oh, it's
Look at
Renat.
that. Oh
So
man,
go in the
don't
group,
trust it.
find
Don't,
this
don't
post.
believe a word. Just don't believe a word.
And just follow the steps right here. It's pretty simple. If you're interested in this and you want to get it for a third of the price, because part of the reason too, we want to make sure that there's enough interest that Bradley's going to put the time into this with the holidays coming up. We got Thanksgiving, we got Christmas coming up. Now is a good time to do this, but we don't want to put the time in if people aren't interested. So far though, I'd say that it looks like people are pretty interested, Bradley. So this is my favorite so far. Shout out to Brian. I think he made his own gift. Yeah. Looks like good interest. So if you want to get in early, head over there and let us know.
You got too many chats going on in your Facebook. I saw that at the bottom.
Been busy. So real quick, wanted to get back to this, guys, before we dive into some more stuff. One last one too. A lot of people have already gotten access to the POFU Live 2019 recordings from the live event in Denver in October. But if you still want to, you can get access. I'm going to post the link down there, but you can get that at 2019access.populive.com and head over there and you can get access to those. I'll put that link up there. And then a few more just to answer the questions and get this out of the way from people we normally hear. If you're here, you're in the right place and we appreciate you being here. But the next thing people always ask us is, well, what should I do next? You should definitely start with the battle plan, all right? If you want step-by-step processes for getting results with everything from new websites, age domains, YouTube channels, whatever it is, go grab the battle plan. I'm not going to read you the sales page. You can check it out and grab it yourself. Battleplan.semanticmastery.com. It's a definite no-brainer. We pack some cool bonuses in there as well, so pick that up. And if you're ready to grow your digital marketing business, you've already got some clients, you want to join an experienced community, not only for the network, but also the advanced training, then the mastermind is where we want you to be. All right. So find out more about that at mastermind.semanticmastery.com. And last but not least, if you are into done for you services, go to mgyb.co. And if you're not into done for you services, ask yourself why you're not into done for you services. Now, just kidding, but we recommend it to everyone. And it's born out of the stuff that we used and we created processes for. Because you do get to that point where you're realizing if you want to grow, you can't be doing all of this stuff yourself. So syndication networks, RYS drive stacks, press releases, link building, embeds, all sorts of good stuff is available over there. Woo! All right. So with that stuff out of the way, we got any last minute announcements, you guys, or are we ready to roll?
I think we're ready to roll. Unless
Ready to
somebody
roll?
else got
Just
something.
kidding. I did. I forgot one. Shame on me. I wanted to let everyone know ahead of time. We're getting started earlier this year. We are working up towards, Black Friday. Everyone's got some cool sales going on. Doesn't matter what industry you're in. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of cool tools available out there. And we wanted to get a jump start on this. We are going to be offering some kick-ass training, some stuff that's never been released before outside of the mastermind, as well as some new stuff that's never been seen. And we're going to be giving that to you guys completely for free. You won't even have to opt in, but we're going to kick it off with that. This is part of coming off of POFU Live and being, seeing the power of learning, but understanding also that there's two more things that come with that. You can learn, but if all you do is learn, it's really no good. You've got to then take some action, and then you're going to get the results you want. But we want to help you out by taking that first step, give you some good stuff that you can learn, and then you can take it and start acting on it and get results. So stay tuned for some more on that.
Sweet. So we're good?
Let's do it.
All right, let me grab the screen. First, let me get my windows all situated. All right, here we go. Only a few questions so far, so you guys better get to posting. It's usually pretty good though. We had a great hump day last week, guys, for our 5-year anniversary, so we appreciate that. All right, let's go into the first one I see was from Greg Pippin. He says, hi, I plan to use OBS to broadcast a pre-recorded video as a live event. How far out should a live event be scheduled to be most effective? Can it be just a couple of days rather than a week? Also, is scheduling a live event for ranking purposes rather than just uploading a video still as effective as it was a few years ago? He says, I've watched your OBS usage video from 3 years ago. Thanks for that one. It is very clear and helpful. Yeah, it is still more effective to live stream. It's very similar to the difference in Facebook, right? If you upload a video to Facebook, it still gets more engagement than a text-based post or even an image-based post. It gets more exposure, but it was preferred specifically if you don't have an external link in it, right? But also if you do a live stream, that tends to get even more exposure. And I think it's the exact same way with YouTube. If you upload a video, even if you live, I mean, you could, but remember, you can schedule a live event with YouTube and then upload the video as a live event. Like, so pre-record, you can stream a pre-recorded video as a live event. So you can still do that without it actually having to be a real live, like live recording, like video recording as you're doing it, if that makes sense. But it does, it gets more, it gets better push. Think about this. If you're subscribed to the Semantic Mastery channel, which by the way, you should be, and if you're not, make sure you hit the subscribe button. You get notification via Gmail when it's going live, right? And so it's the same thing. You'll get some traffic that will come through to it. And remember, engagement signals are one of the primary ranking factors for YouTube videos, both in YouTube as well as Google. And so getting, you know, if there's anybody subscribed to the channel, they're going to get notified, and maybe a few clicks will come through for people to actually engage with the video. Now, if it's for like a, you know, a lead generation video or something like that, where there's not really any real subscribers, then you probably won't get any engagement from that. But it still triggers something in the algorithm, right? That it gets a little bit more push. It's weighted heavier, if that makes sense, by both YouTube and Google. So yes, live streaming is still more powerful than just uploading, and I don't think that's going to change. That said, if the sooner that you schedule a live event, the better. And what I mean by that is the further out that you have it scheduled, the better, especially if you're using stuff like syndication networks, which once again, you should be, because it gives the posts where that embed code is syndicated to or published to, it gives those posts more time to get crawled by Google, if that makes sense. So, you know, the earlier, the better. The sooner that you can schedule it, the further out from when you actually live stream it, the better. Also, one of the things that you can do is build links to the places where the embeds are. That's a very, very powerful strategy to help give it even more power and help it to rank better when you do live stream it, because pointing links at the pages that it's embedded on is a great way to get additional, like to push extra juice into it. And it's almost like building anticipation, like SEO anticipation for that, so that when it goes live, it'll rank a lot better, a lot faster. So I would recommend that you get it scheduled as soon as possible, push it through syndication networks that you have connected to your channel. You can always buy an embed package from MGYB and take that embed code that you get when you schedule the live stream and submit that and have it pushed out across an embed network. Also, you could do link building to your syndication network properties, and also order link building from MGYB to the embeds. If you buy an embed gig, you can order link building to the embeds. And that's a very, very powerful way. Now, remember, those are all specifically SEO signals. So the last thing I would recommend is, if you're really trying to rank it, remember, I talk about this all the time, and we're going to be covering this in part in the Google Ads training that I was talking about doing at the beginning of this webinar, is to set up some Google ads, some YouTube ads specifically to that video. And you can schedule your ad campaign, right? So in other words, you can go in and actually set up an ad campaign to start pointing or buying views directly from Google, right, through the Google Ads platform to your video when it goes live. So when it's actually published. And that's something that I would recommend that you do. And by the way, with YouTube now, you can set up campaigns with either a daily budget or an overall campaign budget, which means you could take $20 and create a campaign with just 20 bucks, for example, that will start the campaign start day and time will be at the day and time that you plan on streaming your video. Right. And what happens is that video, you know, when the ad will start running, and it'll just run until that $20 is spent. And that way you don't have to go in and edit the campaign or turn it off after a certain amount of time, if that's something you want to do. And if you do that between the SEO tactics we just talked about, which is syndicating the embed code, doing an additional embed blast, doing link building to the embeds, and then also buy some initial traffic so that when it does stream, it gets real live, valid engagement, right? Views from people, from from Google users, because you're buying views directly from Google. Those are all real views, not spam views. It's not spam bots. It's not fake, you know, share groups and any of that shit. It's real people that you're buying from Google. You should rank. It's not, I mean, it's a very, very powerful strategy. So that's what I would recommend you do. Anybody want to comment on that?
I mean, the last time we tried it was when we were doing, what did we go after? I forget. But it was, somebody was doing a release of some software, and press releases worked really well. If you, when
Yes.
you set those up, and,
Yes.
and you know, you get them like towards when it's supposed to happen, because it's newsworthy, right? What are press releases for? It's for something that's newsworthy. So if you announce that it's going to happen, that it's coming soon, and that it's happening, so you have 3 press releases, and you silo them, and you set them up the way that we teach PR stacking, then that's going to create a major push by the time that 3rd one comes out, because it's going to push everything forward. We had great success when we, the last time we did that, and I don't see why it would be any different now. It could be even better, since they're working so much better.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, Marco. I appreciate you mentioning that, because I wasn't even thinking about that. Because, for example, if you order a press release through MGYB, which gets pushed out across the Press Advantage network, you can, if you take the URL of the live stream, you know, the YouTube URL, and you put it on its own line in the press release, or if you order it from us, like if you have your own subscription, you can do it through yourself, or if you order it from us, just put it in the instructions when you order. And we can add the video URL on its own line, which will become an embed on many of the places that it gets sent, published on. Not all of them, but many of them. So that will become another embed that's in a press release, and you can schedule the press release to be published around that time. And like Marco said, you can even do a pre, you know, like an announcement type press release that is announcing that the video is going to go live at this time, you know, this day and time. Then you can do one that actually publishes around the time that it actually goes live, which is very, very powerful. And then you can always do a follow-up one afterwards. And again, you can silo those together. And that actually kind of takes, kills 2 birds with 1 stone, because you get backlinks and you get embeds on, you know, high domain authority type, and, you know, authoritative type. I don't care about domain authority, but authoritative type media sites. You get a lot of embeds because it goes across a pretty big, publishing network or press wire network. And then you also get, you know, a lot of these press releases actually get real traffic. And I know that because if I look in analytics, I use a lot of press releases. And if I look in analytics, I see that I get a lot of referral traffic, and referral traffic even from the Press Advantage website itself, which is really, really good. So that kind of kills, and you plus backlinks as well, because in some cases where it won't actually embed, it'll still show the URL, which will count as a backlink. So again, very, very powerful strategy. So thank you for that, Marco. But yeah, that's a really good strategy, guys. You can still crush it with YouTube SEO if you do it properly. I think engagement signals are super powerful for that, though. And you can, anything you do with SEO, you can kind of amplify that, right? Multiply it by just buying some engagement signals. Like I said, even $20 is enough to usually significantly move the needle. Matt's up. He says, hey guys, I have the following question. I own a .com domain that I purchased 3 years ago for a marketing agency project, and then got postponed because I focused on other projects. Despite I would like to keep the name, the website has little work done SEO wise, and I've recently found a European agency with the same name and branding, but a .ie extension. The company seems already quite established and was created after I got the .com domain. Considering all these, I would like to contact them and offer my domain for sale. Any ideas or tips on how to approach them and propose an initial number? I know that the domain per se is not that valuable, but given the situation, I may squeeze some money of this. Thanks in advance. Yeah, you know, Matt, the first money I ever made online was actually selling domains. And that's really what got me hooked. I was still learning SEO at the time, but I had saw some course that was, you know, a WSO, or I don't even think JVZoo was around at that time, but it was a course that I bought about domaining, like being a domainer, right? So learning how to squat domains and then contact people and sell them. And the first one I sold was Austin Windows, or Windows Austin, or Houston Windows, or it was somewhere in Texas, one of the big cities. And it was basically a Windows for a company that sells Windows and replacement Windows. And it was just an exact match domain. And all I did was I put a HTML page up on the domain that was just a for sale page. So basically like a for sale sign with contact information. And I contacted window replacement window companies in that particular city. I just would go email them or use their contact form on their website and say, hey, I've got this domain that would work really well for, and on, by the way, on the for sale page, the HTML page, I put screenshots of the Google keyword planner that showed the exact match keyword, like Houston Windows or Windows Houston or whatever, and showed how many searches per month it got. And so I said, you know, I kind of created like a little sales page for it that was just an HTML page. And then I would contact the companies in that city and say, look, you could, by just buying this domain and redirecting it to your existing domain, you could capitalize on some of this traffic that's showing. And it was like, you know, I don't know if it was 400 and some searches per month. And so anyways, you know, a few people would respond back and they'd say, well, how do we know you really own it? And I would say, well, give me, you know, I'll put your company name on the sales page and shoot you an email when it's ready, and you can go back and take a look at it. And then they would go look and it would have their name at the bottom. And I would say, like, do you want this domain? Whatever the company name was, ? And then they would reply back and say, okay. And so I ended up selling some domains that way. And I would buy them, you know, for $10, register them for $10, and I'd turn around and sell them for anywhere between $150 to $250. And that, you know, that wasn't much money, but it was pretty cool. And it's how I first started making money online. And I only did it for a couple months, and then I got started really doing lead generation and SEO stuff. So with that said, that's what I would do, is maybe contact them and you know, let them know that you have it, have the domain, and that you want to offer it for sale. I don't know about you know, you can come up with your own number. I get a lot of emails from people that have domains that are similar to something that I've recently registered, and they offer to sell it to me. And sometimes their numbers are like ridiculously high. Other times they're reasonable, but I never buy them anyways. But I guess it really depends on how big you think the company is and all that. I don't know how to value that. There's probably some sites out there that can give you some ballpark estimates as to what the value of a domain would be, especially if there's a brand out there that has some like brand equity. But you know, I certainly think it's a strategy worth attempting anyways. What do you guys think?
Yeah, that's totally going to depend on how badly this other company wants the domain, if they want it at all.
Right.
Because like you said, you get offered domains, you don't care, you don't really want it, so it's worth nothing to you. This is exactly that situation. How much is it worth to that company? Could be nothing, could be a couple of $100. It's not going to be thousands, because there's nothing on that website, right? He says it. There's really nothing there. So what drives the value of a website is whether it has traffic, what that traffic does on the website, right? Is it producing money? Now we're talking bigger numbers. But if it's just a .com with a company name, yeah, tell her, hey, look, I got this .com. It's your company name. You want it? Yeah. Well, what's it worth to you? It's really that simple.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I would do. I mean, you could throw a number out, but if it's ridiculously high, they're gonna, you know, or they think you're way off, then you'll probably lose it as a possibility. So you may be better off just asking them what's it worth to them, and if it's something that's, you know, ridiculously low for you, just disregard it. You know what I mean? However, that said, one of my clients, he's a roofer. He bought his domain. It's a great domain, and he bought it. He paid $20,000 for it because somebody else had it and he wanted that name. So he bought it, and it's a very short, succinct name for roofers, and he really wanted it. So he paid $20K for it. So some people will spend a lot of money on a domain, and that was like, shit, that was 10 years ago that he bought that domain for 20 grand, believe it or not. Okay, next one is Gordon. What's up, Gordon? He says, hey guys, hope that you're healthy and wealthy. I recently heard that there is an SEO ranking advantage to hosting a local business site on Amazon S3 instead of a domain on a regular hosting provider. Is there any truth to that, or is there no real difference? And does Google have a similar platform like Amazon S3? Yeah, it's Google Cloud. And if so, what is it called? And would hosting the site there provide any SEO ranking advantage over a regular hosting provider? Thank you very much as usual for your help. It is greatly appreciated. Okay, yeah, well, see, the problem is when you say regular hosting provider, it depends on, you know, hosting providers are all across the spectrum as to whether they're quality or not. What I mean by that is if you go with some cheap budget host like HostGator for God's sakes, or or what's the other one? GoDaddy, something like that. There's a, you know, there are a dime a dozen budget hosts out there. And if you host a site on a budget host, it's very likely that you're going to be placed in a bad neighborhood, so to speak. In other words, you'll be stuck on an IP with a bunch of shitty other websites out there that they're typically overcrowded, in that if any one domain or handful of domains gets too much, it takes up too much bandwidth, it'll slow your site down. There's a number of reasons why you should use a quality host. As far as a ranking advantage goes, yeah, there can be, using like that's part of the reason we use Amazon S3 buckets to host HTML pages for what we call the ID pages or the entity pages, right? Because you kind of siphon some authority from the Amazon domain. So it's very, very powerful. And Google has Google Cloud, I think it's called, that has something similar. I've never set one up on there, but I think you can do something similar to that. But if you want to do like a WordPress site, a CMS, essentially content management system, you need to have a database and all that. And you can do that. There's through, what is it? I think it's Amazon Elastic Cloud. You can actually set up hosting that way. But I'm not sure. I haven't done any testing on that. Maybe Marco can talk about that. It probably would be better, but I don't know for sure. Marco, what do you think?
EC2, right?
Yeah, Elastic Cloud.
Yeah. You could do WordPress on Elastic Cloud.
Right.
I mean, you could do HTML, you could do whatever you want. You could do it, whatever you can do on any other host. As far as cloud hosting, Google has it, right? Cloud.google.com. They have web hosting. So it's just like any other host. And as a matter of fact, you could use that and use, I mean, G sites are awesome. You do your own, map your own domain over to the, or map the G site to your own domain, use Google for hosting, and now you're piggybacking or stacking on Google. I mean, I'm all about stacking on Google. And we got a lot of great things coming, 2020, a lot of testing that's going to be, I mean, we have some just awesome things that are going to be coming out. And some of these are just these things that we're seeing, like stacking. But that's what I would look at. Go and look into it and see if there is any benefit. There might not be. But since you're going into places that aren't regularly or normally spammed, or not spammed like others, then it stands to reason that you're less likely to be in a bad neighborhood. It's likely to be faster. It's likely to be a better server. The latest version of PHP is likely to be. I mean, there's a lot of things that really matter when it comes to all this. But definitely on either one of those.
This is Terry Kyle's cloudboss.pro. He did this. He created this as a solution for SEO hosting that actually uses all these type of cloud hosting platforms, very authoritative platforms, as a way to create PBN networks using cloud hosting, as opposed to the typical budget, SEO hosts and that kind of shit. And so this uses Amazon EC2, Elastic Cloud. Then there's Amazon Lightsail. I'm not even sure what that is. Joyent, Linode, Vultr, DigitalOcean, Rackspace. Those are all cloud hosting environment. Like, you can set up hosting WordPress sites and such on there. So this is something you might want to check out too if you're going to be doing this for more than one. It's rather inexpensive. When I used to build PBNs, I actually had transferred a lot of my sites over to here. So, I mean, I don't run PBNs anymore at all, but when I did, I had actually used CloudBoss Pro for the last probably maybe year and a half that I was running PBNs, was on this service here. So check it out, Terry Kyle. All right. Matt says, for local SEO, what do you see is the most effective way to consistently attract businesses that need SEO? Specialize. That's Matt. I would say specialize in a particular vertical and create all of your messaging and your marketing collateral for that type of a business, that particular business vertical or industry. So that, and then also, if I'm assuming, I know Matt, because you're quite active in some of the groups that I know that you do a lot of SEO, you probably have a lot of clients, but if you specialize in a specific vertical, that's where I found the best traction with getting clients, is to become an expert for a specific business vertical or industry. Because again, you get to know that industry very well. It's much easier to scale your business because you don't have to constantly come up with do new keyword research, new market research, new marketing creatives and all that kind of stuff for each new industry. you get very, very good at being able to speak with business owners in a particular business type, because you know them, or how most of them are for that matter. But also, you know their customer base, right? So you understand their industry and the needs of their customers or clients. So it makes it much easier to be able to sell to them as an expert and a particular type of, as a marketing expert for a particular type of business. So that would be number one. Also, to make sure that you have case studies that you can share. And that's why I love lead generation sites, because I can create lead generation assets in a particular vertical and then use those to show, so that I'm not showing competitors. And remember, when you're like, if you're pitching to somebody in one city, and you can show maybe clients that you've in the same business vertical that you've gotten results for in another city where they're not really competitors, then that's okay to do as well. But what I liked about lead generation sites is I could create a lead generation site in the same city of a location that I was pitching services to say, look, in your own city, I've already been able to get results for and generate leads for people that are looking for your products and your services in your city. And that's part of the reason I like starting with the lead generation and then backing into a client, if that makes sense. But you can still use any number of existing clients that you have, as well as lead generation, if you have any lead generation assets in that particular vertical, and create case studies, right? And share that with them. Video emails works really, really good. Something else which I talked about at PoFood Live is part of my holistic marketing presentation was whoever you're marketing to or prospecting to, hit them from multiple angles. So don't just contact them via email, right? You want to send emails, direct mail, remarketing. Make sure that if they've engaged with any of your digital assets, that now they're being remarketed to on the Google Display Network, Facebook, YouTube. If you have to have 1,000 people or more on a remarketing list in YouTube. But you can also set up, we're going to be talking about this very specifically in the Google Ads training that I'm going to be doing, if we get enough interest in it, that we talked about at the beginning of this webinar. It's in the free Facebook group, the post about it, but how to set up prospecting campaigns using branding ads on YouTube as well as the Google Display Network, because you can get very specific targeting and use what's called in-market audiences for people. And Matt, we talked about this in the mastermind just on the last webinar specifically, but how you can go in and select for YouTube and the Display Network in-market audiences for people that are looking for business services, advertising and SEO, advertising and marketing services. And you can actually select that as an audience type. And then you can set geographic targeting. You can do what's called layering and all this other stuff to where you're constantly in your brand, right, as a specialist for their industry, and you get in front of them so that your brand gets seen by them over and over and over again in multiple formats. And when they see that, they're going to think, well, if I'm seeing him on websites, banner ads on websites, if I'm seeing him in search, if I'm seeing him in YouTube, Facebook, I'm getting direct mail from him, got emails from him, ringless voicemails are coming through. That's something else you can do, like Sly Broadcast and these other kind of like voicemail injection services. You constantly hitting them. Imagine what they're thinking about when they're thinking about marketing. They're going to think, well, man, if this guy's everywhere, this is what he could do for me, right? Or this agency is everywhere, this is what they could do for me. So that's what I would recommend that you do. Hit people from multiple angles. I think it's much better and more effective that way than just trying to hit somebody from the same old method that everybody else is using, which is typically email, which is not nearly as effective as it used to be, in my opinion. Anybody want to comment on that? I know Hernan's probably got something to say about that.
Yeah, and I totally agree with what you're saying, Bradley. I think that at this point, the more touching points you have with a person from different angles, the better you can, reach to them, and you create that halo effect. We discussed it a little bit on the event, right? The halo effect that you create and you generate when you're everywhere. And we get that a lot, right? We get that a lot at Semantic Mastery. The fact that people will jump in on a call with us, or let's engage with an ad, and they'll start saying, well, now I see you guys everywhere. And that's exactly what we're trying to achieve. So yeah, totally agree with you. Go above and beyond, what you're doing right now, and you will reap the rewards. And you will keep on learning new stuff, which is pretty cool too.
From the feedback that I'm getting in the mini mastermind, I have mostly agency owners in our mini mastermind. I have Jordan's on there, Ed, and a couple other people. And the message is, that they did start, the little fish in a small pond, they became the big fish in that small pond, specializing. But what happens is that you get so good, word gets out, because these people, business owners, they'll be at whatever meeting they're in, whatever owners meeting they're in, and they'll be talking about, well, who's doing what for you, and word gets out. And what these guys are finding is that the more successful they are with the clients that they have, the more that the word gets out. And I know Jordan can probably chime in on this, and if he's listening to our Hump Day Hangout, in that it really helps, to get these people, and maybe not clients in one specific thing, in other areas, and you'll begin expanding into other niches. And that's when you have to get really good or hire people who are really good, so that you can concentrate on just scaling the business. So you don't have to be in there day to day trying to, getting into that day to day thing that keeps you from scaling. So you hire great people. So this is how you do it. You may start that way, and you become well known, the guy who produces results no matter what, and you can't help but scale once that happens.
Yeah, because people will start to seek you out. That's the whole point, or your agency out. That's the whole point. Word gets out, and then you start getting referrals, and those are the easiest to close. Is also like the easiest type of prospect to close is a referral, because they've already, remember, if somebody's seeking you out, they've already made the decision that they want to work with you or your agency, if that makes sense. So it's just a matter of coming to an agreement of terms, which is why, like I said, I think, Marco's correct. I mean, for example, with my own agency, I got referrals from all different types of businesses, and that's primarily contractors, but different industries within the home service contracting field, right? So I've had to do a lot of that, and that's fine. But if you get really good at one particular business vertical, then what happens is, like, people in that industry will start to seek you out specifically, even if not through referrals, but it's because you can make a name for yourself. For example, you can even advertise and market within industry publications. For example, you can get ads put on, like through placements, digital ads on industry publication websites, but you can also do print ads and things like that. And if you have a reputation in that particular industry, then people will start to seek you out. And it's really, really good, because it's much easier to sell your services and close a client when you have somebody that sought you out. It changes the psychology 100%. So anyways, the next part of that was, in best ways to keep local clients ranked in the 3-pack. Well, there's a number of things for that, Matt, and I'm sure you're aware of that. Press releases, content marketing, GMB posts, traffic, getting real traffic to the GMB and engagement through that, which you can also, you can get organically, but you can also do that by purchasing traffic, which is what I've been talking about, using Google Display Network and YouTube, even search ads for that matter. If you're using the location extension, you can get, buy clicks from Google that way, which will help to keep it ranked. There's, just so many different things that you can do for that to keep local clients ranked. If you have a real bona fide address, citations still works for that. Using drive stacks, obviously, and I know that, link embeds and link building, the entity loop, all of that stuff can help to keep a client ranked in the 3-pack. Any other comments on that before I move on? Okay, Mike's up. He says, your multi-tier syndication network package, how many tiers are set up? Support responded to me. Multi-tier networks come with 2 tiers. The first tier is a branded network. The second tier has 3 persona-based networks. But that was confusing. What does this mean, 4 total tiers? Yes, that's exactly what that means. As the support response says, 1 branded network, 2-tier persona-based networks, which is a total of 4 networks, 4 rings, right? So 4 syndication rings. The branded tier plus 3 persona-based networks, and that is correct. And you'll also get a best practices video that comes with it if that's what you want. You can also go to support.semanticmastery.com, click into our knowledge base, and look up multi-tiered syndication networks. You can also find that same video where I talk about best practices for that on our YouTube channel. If you go to youtube.com/semanticmastery, use the search channel function and type in multi-tiered syndication networks, and you'll find the videos where I talk about best practices for how to use that if you're doing it for blog syndication. But essentially, very quickly, the best thing to do is if you're doing multi-tiered syndication networks for blog syndication, that you make sure that you have related content feeds, RSS feeds, that are also acting as triggers for the second tier networks, right? And so because you want to mix content on the persona-based networks so that it's not always just your content being published. Your branded network's perfectly fine. That's what you want. You only want your content to be published on your branded network. But on the second tier networks, you want to have other related content feeds publishing content to those in an automated fashion so that you're kind of mixing your content up with others on those persona-based networks. And again, all of this is covered in the best practice video that you'll get whenever you order the network and it's delivered. You can also find it on our knowledge base at support.semanticmastery.com, as well as on our YouTube channel. So go check it out and it'll make much more sense to you. I've even got some very nicely drawn Snagit diagrams where I explain exactly where to add additional triggers and all of that stuff. It's very, I've done a lot of training on that, and it's all available to you. Vitali says, hello guys, I hope everyone is doing well. I took a lot of action since last Hangout. Thanks for the motivation. I'm getting a few articles delivered from my writer and they need a little bit of editing, personal touch plus multimedia. Is it okay to post articles as is and rework it eventually, or publish only finalized material? Best regards. You guys are awesome. Well, it depends. I mean, it's really better to get the content the way that you want it before publishing it, and for a couple reasons. You can do it both ways, but for a couple reasons. Number one, if you're using a branded syndication network, which you should be, then once you publish it, even if you go in and edit the post on the blog after it's been published, it's not going to edit where it's been syndicated to, right? It gets syndicated one time and that's it, unless you do something like republish old posts, which is a plugin you can use for WordPress, which will automatically republish it to the RSS feed, which means it will syndicate again. Or you could even go in and like unpublish the post in your blog and then republish it again, and that'll inject it back into the feed. There's a few things that you can do for that, but then you can end up technically with almost duplicate posts on your syndication network. So for that said, or for that reason, excuse me, I would suggest that you wait until the content is ready to publish it. You know, I've done both. So I've in fact, with my real estate business right now, I was doing some training for our mastermind members on silo structure. And I published a bunch of posts which were just titles, and like it had, you know, and the title was just added as the text within the post too. I didn't have any content. It was just to show kind of a particular silo architecture that I use. And so you know, there was several posts and like with siloed posts or whatever that didn't have any content. They were just titles. And they got published to my syndication network. And so I can't really go back and edit those unless I want to go back and manually do all that. But since then, I've started actually filling out and completing some of those posts. And it takes a little bit of time for Google to come back and crawl it. It took a little bit over a week, but you know, it will come back and crawl it eventually. Or you can, you know, try to ping it through, you know, by sending backlinks to it or traffic to it or something like that to get it crawled. But it's much better, in my opinion, to just kind of get everything set up first before actually hitting the publish button. Anybody want to comment on that?
Yeah, I totally agree. What do you want people to see? What do you want people to see on your website? Do you want them to see something that's halfway finished? Do you want to publish something to your tier 1 that's halfway done and then go through all the trouble of having to correct it? Or do you want to just go out once so that it looks good for people, so that it makes people want to click wherever they find your content, makes people want to click on it, come into your, and get in your sales funnel, right? Get in the door. How do you want to do it? And I would totally say, yeah, make it as good as possible.
I'm not sure I'm going to have time to look at that one. I was trying to read ahead, but we might have to answer that question next week if I get a chance to look at it. But next question was from Jonathan. He says, when searching for my client's brand name, 2 SERP positions are taken by Glassdoor, which review what it's like to work there. Unfortunately, there are a bunch of bad reviews of what it's like to work there from a few bad employees. Any tips on pushing those Glassdoor pages down? Yeah, that's, you know, that's like standard or classic reputation management. There's a number of things you can do. Publish press releases where you're using the brand name in the press release title, right? So that you're optimizing the press release and the title for the brand. That works really well, especially again, you can order press releases through MGYB and several, like if you like, again, my real estate business that I recently started had if you do a brand search for it, there's like 3 or 4 press releases that are on page 1 for my brand, right? So again, it's something very, very powerful. You can do press releases optimized for your brand. Make sure that that's in the title. Drive stacks, the Google site from a drive stack almost always ranks on page 1 for a brand search if it's done right, and which means if you get it from us or if you build it based upon our training, then you can end up ranking the drive stack or the G site, excuse me, for the brand search. Make sure that all that, obviously you have all your top level social media profiles that are completely optimized, right? So completely filled out, profiles completed as much as possible. Send backlinks to them. Remember, those are types of social media profiles that you can just hammer with links. And we've got link building packages at MGYB, which are perfect for that, right? Because you can just throw the kitchen sink at them to get them to rank. If you have stuff like Yelp, if it's for a local business, a business that has a physical location and it's got a GMB and things like that, right? You'll have citations. Yelp is one of the ones that typically rank. So you could always push a shit ton of links at a Yelp page. Again, make sure it's fully optimized and filled out with images and all that other kind of stuff so that you can push Glassdoor off the front page. It's just, that's classic reputation management stuff. Anybody else want to comment on that?
No, that was perfect.
Okay. We're not going to be able to look at this. I'll take a look at this. Maybe we can comment on this next week, but we don't have enough time to actually scroll through all that right now. So Jordan says, woohoo, the POFU recordings are totally worth it. Been listening through some great stuff in there. Thanks, Jordan. We appreciate that. Adam, you want to comment on that really quickly? Because I don't know if you mentioned that at the beginning of the webinar or not.
No, I did. I put the link in there. People can still go grab them. You definitely want to do that. And it's, unrestricted. We got the full recordings in there along with some kick-ass bonuses. So like Jordan said, totally worth it. Highly suggest you grab it.
Very cool. Thank you. Okay, Will's up. He says, hey guys, what are your thoughts about the BERT update and what things should we be focusing on for SEO the Semantic Mastery way? Entities, right? Which what we've been teaching for 2 years is the entity, validating the entity and building that entity up, creating the entity loop, right? All of that. Marco, go ahead and run with this because I know you feel very strongly about it.
Fuck BERT.
Fuck BERT.
No, seriously. My charity webinars are coming up, right? I'm going to do a series of 4 charity webinars. I'm going to be talking about BERT, entities, AI, all of these things that everybody, there's so much confusion, so many people trying to take advantage of people and just, people naturally fear all of these updates. Oh, why? What do I do now? And it's just a smokescreen, guys. So it's coming up. I'll announce it a couple of weeks before I start. There'll be 4 webinars, just like last year, and I'm going to take you all the way through the things that everyone is refusing to tell you, or the things that people just don't know because they don't bother testing. They just go by what Google says or by what their opinion is or what they think. We actually test all of this. It's tested. I'm not going to give you theory. I'm not going to give you what I think. I'm going to give you what I've tested. I'm going to give you what I know. So there you go. And as far as what you can do for BERT, don't do anything because it doesn't really matter right now. It doesn't really matter. It will matter. And tune into the charity webinars, and I'm going to tell you how you can go ahead and start planning for BERT. Now they will tell you that you cannot optimize for BERT or for RankBrain or for anything else. But damn, what have we been doing for the past 4 years? I must be doing something wrong.
That's right. Austin Dawn says, had a client do a podcast on the epodcast network. I did a PR about it through my Press Advantage subscription. Any other things I could use this podcast for? Yeah. Upload it to YouTube, right? Create a video out of it. You could even just, do a screenshot of something and then upload it as a video, right? With just an image and add it to YouTube as well. You can also syndicate podcast, like upload to SoundCloud. SoundCloud's very, very powerful for SEO stuff also. So you could create a SoundCloud account for that company upload it to that, and then use the embed code from that and do audio posts across your syndication network and that kind of stuff. There's a ton of stuff that you can do with to multi-purpose an audio file or a video, right? You can do the same thing with the videos, rip the audio, as long as it's not dependent, like the audio would still make sense without the video portion of it, right? The visual part of it. You can do the same thing with videos, rip the audio out of it and create podcasts out of it, SoundCloud stuff, you know, and all of that. So that's, by the way, that was something else I talked about at POFU Live, was part of holistic marketing. Is podcasts are a great way to generate brand awareness as well as generate a lot of traffic, which are great signals for SEO when you get real, you know, a lot of traffic coming in. And, you know, we've done a number of podcasts this year. I've been on a number of podcasts this year promoting Semantic Mastery, and we've seen significant effects from that. And then also some of my clients have suggested doing it, and they've been able to start seeing the benefits of that as well. So I would suggest looking at other places that you can also podcast for your client, if that makes sense. Like get them interviewed on other podcasts with relevant audiences. It's a great way to build brand awareness and to get more traffic and more clients and that kind of stuff. So anybody want to comment on that? Nope. Okay.
No, I think that's yeah, you covered it. That's the not just the low hanging fruit, but yeah, I would start immediately with SoundCloud and YouTube, and then you could also use it for a bunch of social stuff.
Yeah, and remember, you could create clips out of it. Like you could extract certain sections of the podcast and cut them into, so edit them into different clips and then create blog posts out of that. So like, for example, like you could just take I don't know what the podcast is about or anything, but I'm saying you could take a specific section out of the podcast and then create a blog post out of it, have it transcribed, right? So just send it to a transcription service. It's very, very inexpensive. Have them transcribe it. And then you can go back through and edit it, or send it to a copy editor and have them edit it to format it correctly and have breaks and pull, block quotes out and that kind of stuff, and create really nice blog posts out of it, which can also double as social media posts and GMB posts and so on and so forth. So there's just a ton of stuff that you can do to multi-purpose. Audio and or video is great because you can turn it into so many other things. If that makes sense. Jordan Fowler's got something for $1 million if anybody's interested. And Greg, what's up, Greg? Nathan says, I just placed an order for an RYS stack and have a few questions about the order form regarding main keyword. Well, we can try to answer this here, but you could always contact support if you have any questions too. That's what it's for. So support@mgyb.co. He says, for main keyword, you want the top level keyword for the home page, correct? Yes, your brand and your top level keyword. Based on my company description below, I'm assuming mine would be commercial real estate. I have a commercial real estate company that helps businesses find office, warehouse, and retail space for lease in Austin, Texas. Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you what your top level keyword is. Whatever your client's business, or if it's your business, you have a commercial real estate company that helps businesses find office, warehouse, and retail space for lease. Whatever your customers are searching for to find you, right? That's what you want is your top level keyword, plus the brand association. That's very, very important for a drive stack. Marco, you want to comment on that?
Whatever keyword is the best to relate to the brand so that all of the money keywords will come up behind that one when you start targeting that top level category. It's your top market level keyword. You have to know what that is because it's your industry. So right. I'd love to have this keyword. So you got to think of it this way. I'd love to have this keyword because it has all of these other keywords that can make me a boatload of money. That's how you have to look at it. You submit that plus any other keywords related to it, or you give us the broad keyword and tell us to do the keyword research, and we'll go ahead and do it for you.
That's right. And that's the keyword research packages. They go really, really well for, especially when you're buying drive stacks or link building packages, because you get all the keywords and they're all, depending on what package, keyword research package you buy. If you buy one of the top level packages, we'll have everything already siloed out for you and set groups, keyword theme groups, if that makes sense. So it's very, very powerful. Nathan says, also for, so this is the same guy. Also for the 50 minimum keywords, do you want those to be generic, meaning to not include the city modifier? Well, they're they're industry related keywords, but not with the city modifier. That's correct. You want more of the the more market level keywords than having like long tails with the, because the location association can be made with the build within the build. If you provide the location with where the city's at or the business serves, then that's going to be all accomplished within the build. We don't want those in the actual keywords. Am I correct in telling him that, Marco?
Yeah, what we want, now this is going back, since this is location based, what we want is the brand, location, top market level keyword.
That's right.
And then related keywords that they don't have to include the location, because everything will be location based within the drive stack. I will do that. The folder will be location, some of the files will be location, the keywords will, some of the keywords will include location. But when we're initially doing the keyword research, what we want is everything that's related to real estate, because this is a mega relevant. I mean, call it mighty spam, call it whatever you want. It's mega relevance that we want inside that drive stack. So it's your brand, location, and then top market level keyword, and then we'll include every keyword that's related to that top market level keyword, along with the brand and location, since that's part of what you're trying to rank for. So yeah. Remember the two different things. The only difference when we're doing this, when we're building drive stacks, are whether there's a location or not. If not, then it's just brand plus keyword relevance that we go after. If there's a location involved, then it's brand, location, and keyword.
Yeah. So Jordan says, yeah, people say you don't know my industry. So these are prospects. Prospects say, you don't know my industry. My answer is, I know Google. You'd rather have an SEO who knows Google and can learn your industry versus someone who knows your industry but doesn't know Google. That tends to alleviate that hurdle quickly. Yeah, that's a good reply, Jordan. Thank you for that. Nathan's got another question. The home page, I target the keywords with city. So I guess on the home page, I target the keywords with city name, commercial real estate, commercial property, commercial space, etc. Then I have a landing page that targets office space keywords, one that targets retail space keywords, and one that targets warehouse space keywords. Yeah, I get that, all that. You can include all of those keywords in specifically, for the stack, but for your primary, folder name and G site and everything should be optimized for one, not three keywords, right? Even if they're closely related, you should select the best keyword, in my opinion, for your top level keyword for brand association. And then once you get the drive stack, remember, you can always go in, and this is what we talk about when you create silos. If you have essentially different service categories on your site, right? So different landing pages targeting different keyword themes. They may all be very closely related, but they're still separate keyword themes. And it sounds like you've got your site already segregated that way, right? Segmented that way, which is exactly how you'd want to do it within a drive stack, right? So you'd have your primary, which is primarily your brand, plus your top level market keyword. But then once it's the drive stack is built, then you can go in and create interior folders. And there's ways to do that where you can clone the existing folder, the primary folder, and then create siloed categories within the drive stack. Then you mirror that on the G site. That's something that you have to do after you get the initial drive stack and G site built by us, right? If you order it from MGYB, then you just go in and you can make copies of the folders, and then go in and edit them to swap out the keywords so that you have very specific keyword themed folders and files that support that particular service on your site, right? And then you go match that by creating another page on the G site and embed it just the way. Now, soon, Marco was talking about this earlier this week. So very soon, we're going to be able to provide that as a service in MGYB, where we can go back in and customize and do theme mirroring for G sites and drive stacks. But right now, we can't do that. We can give you the initial drive stack and G site built around your brand and top level keyword and all of the keywords for your market, and then you can go in and create the silo structure within it. But soon, we're going to be able to provide that in MGYB. Marco, you want to talk about that any more? We got to go anyways.
No, not until we're ready. Not
okay.
Until we're ready.
Okay. And he says, I've tried contacting support. They tell me to ask on Hump Day. Yeah, I guess if you were trying to get an understanding of, and that makes sense. So that's what this is for, so that we can educate you more as far as about, you know, the best types of keywords and everything. So hopefully this was helpful for you. Typically, if it's just a question as to like, I don't know what to enter here. If it's an SEO related question, which is kind of what you asked because you didn't know how to segment your keywords correctly for that type of an order, then yes, this is the best forum for that. So they were correct in telling you to ask here. So hopefully that was helpful.
Yeah, excuse me, but support is specifically instructed not to answer SEO related questions because they're not trained in SEO. That's not their job. Their job is simply to take the order and build out the order according to what we've taught them to do. We, meaning, if you want to put it that way, the SEOs, we've instructed them on what to do. So they don't really know what the concept is. All they know is I build this and it works. We know the why. And so you come here and yeah, okay, so what should I do? But yes, guys, if you ever ask support an SEO related question, all you're going to get is go to the free group in Facebook or go to Hump Day Hangouts and ask your question there, because I'm not allowed, Marco will not allow me to answer SEO related questions.
That's it. All right, guys, thanks for being here. We will see everybody next week. Thanks, guys.
See you,
All right,
everyone.
man, later.